It's the Weekly Wrap with your host, broadcasting legend Bruce Wolf, and his trusty sidekick, comedian Tim Slagle. And now, without further ado, Bruce Wolf.
Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap. And now it's time for my favorite part of the show, wherein I guess what's in Tim's background. Tim, this is an easy one for me. You have got in your background a Fulton County ballot, which shows that Bill Belichick is not voted on for the Hall of Fame, the NFL Hall of Fame, but there are 2 votes for Joe Biden for president. Am I right about that?
No.
Okay.
Nope. It's here I am. It's Donald Trump got a new bicycle. It would
Let's see.
It would seem.
Let's see. All right.
It says a new Minneapolis style bicycle.
Well, that brings us to the now. Time is bent all out of shape for me. Did this latest shooting happen last week, the weekend before? Or we haven't talked about this shooting yet, right?
No.
Saturday.
Okay. Yeah, it happened on Saturday. Okay, because it just seems like we talk about the same thing every week.
Yeah, we talked about the good shooting, not the pretty shooting.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Here we go. So, but,
and did you see the picture that MSNOW did of him? How they updated
it?
Now,
first of all, I had a couple of things that on Twitter that I wrote, is this real? Because I didn't want to fall into, the Kyle Rittenhouse looks like the top big boy scam. So one of them was the picture where they're dressed him up. He's got more hair. He's got a stronger jawline. I think his shoulders are even a little broader.
Yep.
Did that really happen?
I think it did, because apparently he just wasn't pretty enough
for MSNBC and CNN.
Got some Donald Trump bronzer on.
So then I thought that wasn't real, and then I actually tweeted, "Is it real?" over the video that the BBC got of him from January 11th, which I said, oh, come on, I'm not going to fall for this. Somehow they've managed to AI, this guy kicking out a tail light and confronting the police and yelling MF and all that stuff. But that turns out to be real as well.
Yeah, that was the second video. There's 2 videos of that incident after the BBC came out with it. One of the bystanders, everyone's got cameras there. One of the bystanders figured they could cash in.
So, what I love is that we do this only once a week, because if you look granularly at every step along the way and slow down life into, 1 pixel at a time, I guess, you get caught saying things. But if you look at the whole thing, whereas this whole deal started with Kristi Noem accusing the guy of being a domestic terrorist and wanting to kill a lot of people, and then she gets refuted. But now we're coming slowly back to the idea that maybe he was. Or if not that, a lot closer than he was a few days ago.
The second magazine is suspicious. I'm not one to say that, magazines can only have so many bullets in them, but 2 magazines is not self-defense. That's offense.
Well, here's the thing. And, I saw that, people were immediately jumping at it and saying, well, that event has nothing to do with the event where he was killed. And look, I am the presiding judge in the court of public opinion. And I say, you're right. This prior video has nothing to do with the one in which he was killed. But also irrelevant is the fact that he's a nurse. Okay. Well, because that conjures us images. For me, actually, when I heard, when I think of male nurse, and I got to apologize for this, because it's totally inappropriate, but why do I have a podcast then? Is first, when I think of nurses, I think of Dr. Fine, Dr. Howard, Dr. Fine, the 3 Stooges, as doctors, and they hear that they've got nurses there, and they go, oh, nurses, and then they turn around and there's these 3 big guys who don't need MSNBC or AI generated hyping, because those were big guys. But this guy, so like I say, it's the Reinsdorf rule. Always put off till tomorrow what you don't have to do today, because the problem will take care of itself in the meantime. And this started out domestic terrorist, then it turns out no, I mean, and he didn't really touch them, and he was pepper sprayed, and he was just trying to help everybody, help the woman who was knocked down. And it looks really bad. And look, I think Trump's more than tacit admission that it looks really bad. That's why he's got Homan in there and took Bovina out, and he didn't hang Kristi Noem out to dry, but she's in the background right now. But you do have this situation, and like you say, with the second magazine, I don't think it's necessarily relevant what his mindset was when he gets pepper sprayed and they shoot him. But if you go, it looks like he was looking for trouble. Okay.
Yeah.
Especially,
and that's the number one
earlier.
thing. That's the number one thing that you're taught in a concealed carry class, is to avoid confrontation. If there is a confrontation, it's best to get as far away from it as possible, because a confrontation and a loaded weapon usually results in someone being shot.
So he was looking, he
was looking for trouble with a gun.
Trouble a few days earlier.
He was saying, "Come at me."
Yeah.
He come at me, MF, come at me.
Yeah.
So I mean, he was daring them.
Yeah. Now again, I want to be real careful. That doesn't justify the shooting, because the cops have to be better than they are. But that's his mindset.
Yeah.
He was, and in the court of public opinion, nobody deserves to die, but.
Well, I have a little local angle on this whole thing. Well,
Sure.
not local, but at least a professionally a professional nexus. Is a comedian was just canceled. Did you hear about this?
No.
It's a guy named Ben Benakis, who was a friend of mine, and I have been laughing about it for a while, because the guy is probably the most politically incorrect comedian ever.
Okay.
It's amazing, and he's got a huge following. And he was actually booked at this weekend to perform at a gay club in St. Paul.
Okay.
And they tried to cancel him. And he said, "Well, you still have to pay me," because he sold out 4 shows in St. Paul, Minnesota. Sold out 4 shows. And then finally it came out today. Yes, they did did cancel him for fear of his life and theirs.
Oh, okay.
And because he did a Renee Good joke.
Oh,
yeah. Okay. It's and that kind of upset people. They thought there was going to be a lot of trouble, but the fact that he was booked obviously the booker didn't realize that it's a gay club, and the booking him in there was not a good idea. Ben Benakis, if you want to look him up, very fun. Oh, there he is. Chris looked him up already.
There you go.
Upcoming shows.
Okay.
Yep.
Well,
sold out and canceled.
Thanks for that news. We
Sure.
like to have the comedy club news here. Also, I'm just intrigued. The guy had a Sig Sauer P320 AXG combat high capacity 9mm pistol with a threaded barrel, extended 20 to 21 round magazine, and a Sig Romeo optic, a setup costing $1,500 to $2,000. Yeah, that's awfully impressive. And he was also in a signal group, which was there's 1,000 members per zone. They have mobile chasers, plate checkers, logging vehicle data into shared databases, 24/7 dispatch nodes. I mean, this sounds like the first squad that Trump is going to send to Iran. Off the USS Abraham Lincoln. So,
do you remember what they said about Rittenhouse when he was when that went down? They said he went to Kenosha hunting. Remember that? He was hunting. And it's and of course they said he was hunting black people, but come on. There's no black people at these protests. I mean, let's
true.
be
That's
let's be
true.
real. You would be hard pressed to find a blackface in any of those crowd pictures in Minnesota.
Well, most of your protesters, Abe Greenwald had a good piece in commentary about this. You know, they're people who don't really. A lot of them are people who don't have anything else to do. They're older people, so
Mhm.
they don't have a raison d'etre. Unless they've got a podcast like I do. But or they or they're people who are really looking for a cause, and see, and all the causes have already been dealt with. I mean,
Well,
everybody, civil rights, well, it's funny that Walls talked about Fort Sumter. As I recall, the Civil War ended about 200 years ago, almost 200 years ago, and 160, is it? So there's just not that much to do, and you gotta find that cause.
what's interesting to me is that the unions are supporting the anti-ICE movement. Aren't unions supposed to be against cheap labor?
Well, right, they're really caught. They got some problems. I remember my sister, a radical in 50 years ago, with the bumper sticker boycott grapes.
Yeah,
Cesar Chavez
did not want the
he didn't want
quote
farm
unquote.
work.
Well, what he called them was he actually was the first one to use the term wetbacks. He did not want the wetbacks.
Wait, he didn't
taking
coin
away
that term, did he?
I believe he was the first
He
one to
used
use
it.
it. He used
He
it.
absolutely used it. All right, we've exhausted that. Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap. Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap.
Oh, it's Tim Foyle time.
It's Tim Foyle time. And here's the thing. So Tim is eagerly sent us emails. He doesn't really like to get involved in running down the show or inserting topics for it. But
no, this one I had to. This one I had to.
Because we just mentioned the Civil War last segment. We love to have the modern version of the Civil War Roundtable, which is discussing the 2020 election. And there was news: the FBI raided Fulton County's ballot center, or whatever it is.
Took out 700 boxes of evidence.
Right, 700 boxes. And my dear friend Eric Zorn, who once wrote a glowing profile on me, which helped launch my career, really. But he's a liberal. He shows a picture of the Section 2, page 1 of the Tribune, a full page or half page story. FBI searches Georgia election office. And of course, he says there's a presumption that it's a lie because, the FBI and the DOJ. Here's what I was impressed by was it was on Section 2, page 1 of the Tribune. I didn't even realize the Tribune had 2 sections anymore. So, and then I actually read their story, and the story is an AP story because, they don't have any reporters anymore. And the AP story just talks about how in the lead, how it's a baseless, challenge.
Sure.
I mean, if you want to cover the story, okay, cover the story. Say they're trying to get these boxes. They claim there's something in there, but I Googled this story, about what happened in Fulton County, and every story is like this. It's all about the process of the FBI going in and getting the warrants and getting the stuff, but none of it is about the substance of what they're really claiming. I mean, they're claiming, of course, the election was stolen, but I'd like to know what exactly they're saying here. If there's any new evidence. I mean, I guess the claim is that there really isn't any new evidence because the ballots were counted 3 times. So what are they getting?
Well, here's the thing, Bruce, is that every count came up short. They had to actually inject votes into the count because they did not count come up with as many ballots as they said they had on election night, and they actually lied about the fact that they had the votes. They were injected into the count. When they said they matched, it was a lie, and there's emails proving it.
And how many votes does this come up to?
I think it's about,
even assuming arguendo it's true what you say.
I think it's
I can't take seriously a guy who has a bicycle in his background. Go ahead. Yes.
I think it was about 7,000. They were about 7,000 short when they did the recount.
And this is all Fulton County or the entire state of Georgia?
Fulton County.
Right.
Fulton County.
And what did Trump lose the election by?
11,000.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all right.
Remember, 11,000 just means you have to split the 11,000. Does that make sense?
I'm just saying.
This has been big on Bannon the last 2 days, Bruce.
I don't imagine. Has Julie Kelly been all over it?
No, but do you know they say every lawsuit got thrown out. The reason everything was preserved is because the lawsuit filed in January of 2021 actually went through, and they had to preserve all these documents because the person that filed the lawsuit found at that time 4,000 votes that were unaccounted for. They didn't have the digital images to match. And they had paper ballots that had no creases, had the same votes, and were with printer ink and not done with a pen. Those were the things that were in the lawsuit that the judge actually upheld, and that's why they had to preserve this, and that's why it got to this point.
And something else that I might have known then, but I forgot it, was that they filed suit like days after the election and said something's wrong with Fulton County. And the people who filed suit, the judge said, no, you do not have standing here, and threw it out of court. And it took 3 years for the Supreme Court to actually say, well, you actually do have standing. And in the meantime, the locks were missing on the room where the ballots were stolen. And 20 minutes after the sheriffs left the unlocked door, the alarm went off.
Gee, how is Rudy Giuliani going to get his condo back?
I mean, that's the thing is that Rudy Giuliani was ruined because he said, something's a little fishy here. And they were going to put Donald Trump in jail on RICO charges.
Sure.
For the same thing.
Thank goodness Letitia James was carrying on with somebody.
This was Big Fanny.
So all right. So when do we expect the next big thing to come out of this? Because my guess is that it's just going to fizzle out like everything else has. But you know me, I'm always open to. I would love nothing more than for this to turn out to be true, for us to actually find something in Al Capone's vault. I'm in favor of it. You know me, but when do you think the next step is?
Well, I mean, if the FBI is gathering evidence, they got to be close to a grand jury, right? They've got to have suspects and targets, right? Or do you think they're just?
Well, we'll see.
There's officially a criminal investigation. That means that someone is under suspicion of doing something.
Right. And if you go with the low level, you get the low level and threaten them with a federal case they cannot afford, then they start talking.
All right, you've been listening to highlights from the Steve Bannon broadcast. All right, have we exhausted? I mean, I want to give this a fair hearing for our purposes.
Well, I watched ABC News last night to see if they covered it, and they did cover it. ABC World News Tonight did cover it, but they spent the entire 3 minutes talking about how the election wasn't stolen.
Right.
And how
my big question, did David Muir have clothespins on to make his jacket look tighter? That's what I want to know. Okay. All right. Well, we got that. Make sure that it's in the rundown, every week, so that we can discuss that. Okay. Check, double check. Let's move on to, something, the favorite, Bruce's Jews news. Of course, it was Holocaust Remembrance Day this week, and J.D. Vance managed to give a very moving speech about the Holocaust without even mentioning the word Jews, which is pretty good. Pretty good, as another Jew once said. Meantime, I should mention that Stephen Colbert, who's going off the air, I think May 21st or something like that, managed to make the joke on his show that the Nazis were better than the ICE guys because the Nazis didn't wear masks when they were slaughtering people. Okay. I read that when and somebody brought up that the Nazis apparently, I didn't realize this happened. They actually just buried babies alive because they didn't want to waste bullets on them. Thousands. And I'm just wondering, how you compare that, Stephen Colbert, with, what ICE is doing. Okay. But maybe that's why you're going off the goddamn air, you piece of crap. Anyway, so that's all I have to say.
No, that's what I've been saying about Renee Good. It's if those were real Nazis, they would have made her dig her own grave first.
There you go. There you go. Now, I don't know why you can't be booked in that Banca guy's stead. Looked like he had a lot of sold out shows there. Maybe you should move to be in there. Meantime, my dear friend Sam Schulman had a tweet about the teacher's room of Flemish Brabant and Brussels. When two unmarried people kissed, our students tore down the cinema. Now, I haven't read the story, but I guess my understanding is that the kids are Islamic and they don't want that kind of movie anymore. And I thought, hey, good. Finally, a rebuke to Cinema Paradiso. Did you ever see that? It was a terrific movie about 30 years ago about, a very repressed village in Italy, I guess, where the priest would edit out all the kissing scenes in all these movies that people would see. And they edited them back in. But apparently we've moved forward here where we got the Islamists doing that.
Well, it says two unmarried people.
Exactly.
So maybe it's not just, maybe it's not, they're not
you
just,
never know.
Maybe it's not just the premarital thing that's bothering them.
Hey, while we're on that for a second, what do you think that we're actually going to attack Iran? It seems like it, right? Like imminent.
Yeah.
It seems like it's going to happen because
because we got the fleet enough. There, because the fleet's all been moved in.
We got that. It's just reading the tea leaves. They tried to negotiate, and meanwhile the Iranians are slaughtering people. And there's always the talk. Oh, let's talk with them.
Well,
like
I think they're
good.
I think they're hoping they don't have to go in. It depends on how secure the Ayatollah's bunker is, and how much he values his freedom. Those are the issues. And if there's another Mideastern country that will take him as a refugee.
All right, well, that's fine. That's end game stuff. And finally, WGN TV News reporting to us that the doomsday clock moved forward a little bit.
It reminds me of something that I was taught in math, is that you can move between 2 points infinitely without ever getting there.
I'm going to be very upset. It's some kind of paradox we should look it up during the break. But yeah. I was wondering if the doomsday clock recognizes daylight saving time. Because that could throw me off entirely.
I can't believe there's still minutes on that clock.
Really, we should be into overtime now. Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap. Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap. Just to clean up some business from the last segment, I had mentioned a paradox I thought existed where you keep having things, halving, but they never get down to zero. And I guess during the break, and I was right, Zeno's paradox is what that is. Okay. And speaking of,
I thought he had Doc Marten shoes. That's
what
Zeno wore. So
okay. Well, speaking of entities or
Bad
beings
puns.
that keep getting chopped down but never quite get to zero. The diminutive Rahm Emanuel keeps poking his head into the public consciousness. And I guess the latest thing I saw, he's on the education kick and everything like that. Do we have this tweet from Rahm Emanuel where he's talking about corruption in politics? Is that the one that I sent you?
And that he's gonna clean it out.
He says, yeah, Washington is due for a good power wash from crypto fundraisers in the White House, gifts coming in the size of Air Force One, et cetera, et cetera. Now, refresh my memory on this one. But this guy who took ballet, was it in college, and knows how to tiptoe in and out of politics, that's for sure. He became an investment banker.
On point. He can do it on point.
He used his connections and made what, like $15 million?
Sure.
I just
that's a lot of Somali wine right there.
Well, I just like the way he sachets. He does the two-step. It's very interesting. Now, the video that is attached to this tweet shows Rahm with a baseball.
Yeah.
And I was just wondering if he could actually get it on a fly to home plate. I don't think so.
I could tell you with that finger, he could throw one hell of a knuckleball.
It's true. It's true. And somebody told me that Jonah Goldberg had Rahm on like in December on his podcast, but did not ask him about Laquan McDonald. So Jonah, I mean, I love Jonah, but not exactly William F. Buckley and putting someone's feet to the fire on anything. I mean, that's the vulnerability. That's what basically exiled Rahm to be the ambassador to Japan. Although, as you recall, Tim, there may have been another reason he wanted to go to Japan.
Oh, yeah. It's he wanted to feel tall.
Now, I don't know why you don't substitute for this guy who got banned in Minnesota. I just don't get it.
I'm just not good enough.
There you go. There you go. So it was interesting. Chris does the rundown every week on this show. And normally this kind of story, if it gets in at all, is like in what the D block. We have A, B, C, and D blocks in that order.
Well, actually, I think this would be the double D block that you're talking about.
Okay, well, that's what I was going to say, and I'm glad I set you up for that.
Sorry.
Okay. But you know what? I owed you one or a lot of them. So there you go. But yeah, Sydney Sweeney has made it up to the C block. And as the lead story, and Chris, I just wondered why you just wanted to make sure we got it in, right? Is that the reason that you did that?
Well, two things. I don't know if you noticed. Actually, I was going to mention before we started, we were light on hard topics, and most of the C block is fairly light.
Okay.
Entertainment, then, because you had heavy sports in the D. So
yeah. All right.
I get again we take any
any opportunity, especially since now that Landman is over, we're probably on a Michelle Randolph hiatus. But Sydney Sweeney has launched a lingerie brand. Is that why she put slung some bras on the Hollywood sign unauthorized? Is that
actually? I looked at the video of that. I was a little disappointed, as I just thought she was going to put one of her bras on the two O's.
There you go. That's two in a row for you, buddy.
I think her bra line that she's selling, I think it'll do really well. Is that for the same reason that Michael Jordan was able to sell shoes? Is that there are a lot of people
because Republicans like bras too? Is that
no? It's the people that don't have the jump think that maybe it's the shoes. Maybe the shoes will give it to them.
Sure.
So I think it's kind of the same thing with Sydney Sweeney bras.
Yeah. No, I think you're dead spot on for that. So good luck to her on that. And thank you for putting that at the top of the what should have been the double D block. But have you seen that Al Roker is retiring? And the picture of him in the tweet that I saw, did he put the weight back on? Remember, he was kind of skinny for a while there. And
I don't think so. I think those are old pictures.
Those are old pictures.
Yeah, I think those are older pictures. I looked at the picture of him, and it's all, the skin is all still there. It's just not it's not as inflated.
Well, that's what happens. I think we learned that from Fat Bastard in the third Austin Powers movie. The skin was just one fold after another. And we don't necessarily have this tweet, but I want to stay on NBC here. That apparently Mike Tirico will not be doing Sunday night baseball on NBC, and I think he should use that time to jog a few laps, because that guy could use. I'm on an NBC fat guy thing apparently right now. So the New York Post had this tweet, and I hope I'm not going to be mentioning this in big taste because I'm in bad taste, because I'm not sure what happened, but it was about Bill O'Reilly, and it said he had Bill O'Reilly saying he is stepping back from media appearances due to a malady, and I was wondering if they really meant to say malady, whom he had to pay $32 million to, but maybe he really is sick. Is he?
Well, he's probably leaving while he can still do it live.
Okay.
Is that 3?
You're killing here in this segment. I have had relatives in, my son and his girlfriend in this week, and for some reason we decided she's rather young. She had never seen Spinal Tap, so we watched Spinal Tap. Now I assume you've seen it.
Oh, I saw it. I saw it live.
Yeah, in the movie.
I saw it in the movie theater. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. And Carl Reiner's like 30. Rob Reiner's 35 years old in that. Fred Willard was in it. I forgot. Okay, yeah. So you got the usual, the cast from all those future tongue-in-cheek things that like Best in Show and
sure,
all those great movies. But
I still remember a Fred Willard line from that movie. It's always stuck with me. It's like, ooh, maybe I'm due for a haircut myself. I might be confused for one of the band. It's got a military haircut.
Yeah, and that was a good line. I mean, it's not as big as the one about the 11.
Yeah.
But that's the classic.
I bet you people still use "Turn It Up to 11" who have no idea what
they don't know
where it came from.
They have no idea. And the exploding drummer, it does drag a little bit for about the last half an hour, maybe because you're just seeing a band disappearing. It's not that good. However, I did like a lot of the song lyrics, because it was over the top, disgusting sex. There was a song called Sex Farm, and it was just
more the cushion.
Yeah, right. I mean, it was it was just over the top. The only problem was the music is entirely forgettable. You do actually have to have a tune. But the lyrics were great. I mean, I could see Harry Shearer writing a lot of that good stuff, but it's tough to write good music.
They're going to do part 2, right? Or is it part 2
already
done with
coming
part
out
2?
very shortly? Yeah,
I think actually because of his passing, I think.
They held off on it a little bit.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Or so maybe he was working on editing it still.
Now,
I saw Turner
theaters already.
Is it in theaters already?
Oh, is it really?
I think it's.
Is it doing as well as the Millennium movie, which I understand sold like 1 ticket?
Oh, come on, that's unfair.
Do you know anything about the Millennium movie? I mean, was this a bribe by Bezos to spend money on this?
I have no idea, but I imagine it's going to be huge once it hits the streamers. It's the people who are interested in that don't go to theaters.
Not go to theaters. It's how many documentaries are blockbusters at the theater? That's kind of an unfair comparison. It did millions of dollars. I mean, it's a documentary.
Yeah, I think Fahrenheit 9/11.
Oh, 9/11.
Yeah, but those Michael Moore ones where he inserts himself in are not really documentaries. They're
but even still,
personality-driven stories.
Yeah, but even still, I mean, it was only like in the millions. I mean, it wasn't,
Right. Right.
And
there was a lot of noise about it from the liberal press. I mean, they loved it. As a matter of fact, I remember the glee from liberals. I remember this is back in the battle days, not of Trump, but of George Bush running for president. You know, the actual evil George Bush, and the liberals were going crazy because of the reception that Fahrenheit 9/11 got in certain areas. But as was aptly noted, all those areas were blue cities. So it didn't help the vote an iota. But, you know, that's how crazy they get. And that's why you got Trump, by the way. You got him because you really think you didn't like George Bush? Well, we'll give you something that you don't like, buddy. We'll give you something.
FYI, Spinal Tap 2 is now on HBO Max. It was released last month on HBO Max.
Okay. Does it go up to a 12 this time? I mean, how do they?
Did not get good reviews.
I'm sorry, did it or
did not get good reviews?
Well, how could it? Spinal Tap was supposed to be the story of a band at the end of their career.
Yeah.
So
40 years.
40 years later, they're still there. I mean, come on.
Well, let me ask you this: was it as bad as Happy Gilmore 2? So, for comparisons, the one good thing in Happy Gilmore 2 is that he's got these sons who put their hockey sticks between their legs and use them as phallic symbols, the same way that Happy did when he was young. And they do that bit like 3 or 4 times in the movie, and it never gets old. But other than that, it gets real old, including Julie Bowen.
You know the most shocking. You know the most shocking thing about that, Bruce?
What?
Is that you actually watched Happy Gilmore 2.
You know, it was a struggle. More of a struggle for the last 40 minutes of that than the last 40 minutes of Spinal Tap. Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap. Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap. So, Bad Bunny shown in the outfit that he's going to wear for the Super Bowl halftime show. And I'll have to describe it for the people who are visually impaired here. It's basically a gigantic white wedding dress. My only problem with it is that how are we going to distinguish him from the visiting team quarterback whom the officials won't allow to be touched? So that's the only problem. I think Bad Bunny is the NFL's way of saying they can do Bud Light and you'll like it. I mean,
they're trying to get young people interested in football. I mean, that's all it is. And he's wearing a dress. Why? Because we'll talk about it if he does. And are they actually showing the dress? Is that actually the dress? I mean, isn't it bad luck? Isn't it bad luck to show your halftime dress before the Super Bowl?
Sure. Touche on that. So the Washington Post, I think they may have walked this back a little bit. WAPO walked it back, but they were going to cut out their entire Olympic coverage. And, this got, some people, people's knickers a little twisted because this former critic, Richard Deitch, says the owner of the Washington Post has a super yacht worth an estimated $500 million. And he couldn't see cutting out the reporters who were going to go to the Olympics. And I was thinking, by all means, Bezos should sell the yacht and feed the tired, the poor, the huddled masses, and send sports writers to cover ski jumping. Yeah,
you know what? And if he bought that yacht with the profits he made from the Washington Post, they'd still have jobs. I mean, let's be honest. You think he's made a dime since he bought on the Washington Post?
Oh no, that's a total loser for him.
He just bought it to make sure that they don't write any negative stories about him.
All right, yeah, that makes sense. I actually covered the '88 Olympics in Calgary for the Source, which was an NBC radio network, WFLD TV, and the Loop Radio. And all I did, because I had all these employers, all I did was file reports. I wouldn't have even had the time for the hooker that Stephen Geary tried to send to me in Calgary. That's how bad it was.
Is that for real?
They supposedly were trying to do that on the air, but they couldn't find my compound, I guess, or so.
So did they actually have one on retainer?
I think in those days of the loop, it was de rigueur to have every show had a hooker on retainer.
Hooker on retainer.
Yeah, right. And it wasn't Lorelei, by the way. Hey, Joe Buck liked a tweet of mine. Okay, how about this? Oh yeah. He had originally tweeted a few days ago because Joe Buck likes to put on the everyman outfit every once in a while. So apparently he's portrayed and does this cartoon character. And somebody said, yeah, he's in Perry the Platypus miniseries that little kids watch, and it's a cartoon character based on him. And Buck says, "Oh, that's me. When you have 7-year-old twins, some jobs are easy to say yes to. Haven't seen it yet. Any good?" And then I responded to Buck's tweet by saying, "The man has range. Can't wait till his twins are old enough to watch Brockmire and hear him talk about how his character, also a sportscaster named Joe Buck, but from Florida, likes to receive a finger in a certain orifice. What a fun show." And Buck liked that tweet. He actually liked it. So this guy, he's a good dude.
He probably likes the finger too, huh?
I guess so. Whee!
You know what I just found out? Speaking of cartoons, the guy who played Otis the Drunk on Andy of Mayberry, was also the voice of Goliath in that Sunday
from Davy
morning.
And Goliath.
Davy and Goliath. Yeah, isn't that funny?
Well,
the
drunk
drunk from Andy of Mayberry was the voice of Davy's conscience.
Well, but didn't Goliath sound a little drunk? Oh yeah. Yeah, he sounded a little drunk.
There's a version, I think it was on Saturday Night Live. It was Son of Davy, where Goliath actually told Davy that he had to kill the sinners. Look at them, Davy. They're disgusting.
Stop doing this to me, because you're wrecking my memories of my Sundays of my childhood. So Terry Boers died. You don't know who Terry Boers was?
I do not.
Chris, you do, right?
I do, yes.
Yeah. So I mean, I knew Terry, and
I think we're the only show with a former sportsman who's has it in the D block, because this was like the lead in every sports. Like the score did a whole day of Terry Boers.
Right, a whole day. He was there. He made the score. Actually, I remember years ago Terry and Jim O'Donnell, calling me up because they were auditioning for a job at WGN radio. This is before the score. So that's how much a legend I am in this town.
Before the what? Before the what?
What? For the what?
I think you pronounced the score wrong.
The Scoros. Excuse me. Thank you.
Yeah.
Boy, I don't even know my own jokes anymore. So
Tim's so on fire, he's doing your jokes too.
Yeah. So it really is. So this guy, D Glitch, tweeted, "Unlike Terry, you will be forgotten," to me. So, and all I had said was, I saw the news. I said, "Oh man, that's horrible." I liked him, but anyway, here's the thing. There was a little smidge in all these recollections of him, a little smidge of the Chuckles the Clown episode here from the Mary Tyler Moore Show, because it reminded me of when Don Wade of WLS was remembered for such great characters and bits as Buster Hyman. And I remember first hearing that in 8th grade. And Terry had all these dirty sex puns, basically. One of them was, "That's you're my Dick Duran." So Dick Duran was a Bears coach. That's my Dick Duran. I mean, so this is a guy that's being lionized because he was filthy, and to a certain extent, to a certain degree. Hey, Shakespeare had sex puns too. Every time you see the word "die" in Shakespeare, There's a sexual connotation. So yeah, but and then Dan Bernstein, you haven't heard of him either. Well, he was fired by the Skoros, okay, but they even brought him back to talk about his recollections of Terry, whom he was a partner with for 17 years.
So I'm guessing there weren't a lot of people at the station that remembered him, actually knew him.
No, there were.
Huh.
There were no, because he just retired about 8 years ago, and there were a lot of young people. Oh, as a matter of fact, Chris, you'll be happy to know, I didn't realize this, that Jason Benetti was once an intern at the Skoros. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Doesn't make me like him anymore.
So, but I was thinking, so, I mean, this is when Dan Bernstein got to work with Terry. Dan, I mean, who's, the most liberal guy in the world, he's totally woke. But being on a show like that, he would ask Terry, he would mention to Terry how Kim Basinger was still hot at age 60 and how someone else looked like Julie Bowen when she was hot. But then Dan had to work with this woman named Layla. And, he probably felt like a fish out of water at that point. Okay, that's a really good joke if you know, if you follow what's been going on. But I understand Tim hasn't been following it. I think Chris appreciated that. No? Okay. I guess not.
The D block, this D block, you might as well have been talking about Landman spoilers too. And I could have just, just Z'd out.
All right. Finally, let's go. Oh, did you see that? Speaking of Fred Willard, an awful announcing mentions this. Jason Kelsey is going to be doing hockey announcing or hockey analysis. This is a former football player. Jason Kelsey is adding hockey to his ESPN portfolio for Stadium Series, whatever that is. And it just made me feel like, well,
Taylor Swift's brother-in-law.
Huh?
Taylor Swift's brother-in-law,
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Okay. But it makes me think of, well, I guess he's only doing it because Fred Willard or Joe Garagiola aren't available. I mean, it's hockey, and he's a football guy. But okay, fine and dandy.
It's because they're in a football stadium. Is that the stretch here?
Maybe. Oh, the Stadium Series.
Stadium Series. They're doing at Tampa Bay Stadium, I think, this year.
Yeah, all right. That's a tenuous link at best.
At best.
And finally, what I should mention is my former intern Lou Canellis is now taking my former job at Channel 5 as a sportscaster. I remember when Chet Kopic and I Chet was still bitter that Channel 5 got rid of him, and I would say to Chet, "Hey Chet, it's my turn to be bitter." But Lou's got that job. All I can say is, I mean, it's not as big a deal. I mean, I go far back enough that I actually saw Floyd Kelber in his underwear, and Chris doesn't even know who Floyd Kelber is, right?
I mean, I know him. Yeah,
he was like, they called him the Big Tuna, and when I not because I saw him in his underwear, but he was the big deal, and I actually saw him in his underwear at a golf outing, and I'm sorry, Lou, it's kind of passé to be at Channel 5 now. When I was around when, he wasn't still at Channel 5, but I saw him in his underwear, and I should say where, at a golf outing in a locker room. Okay. That's weird. But that's,
not in his hotel suite.
All I'm saying is I was around for big things, and Lou, it's kind of small now, I guess. So it's probably not going to make the cut because all your jokes took up this segment, Tim, but we had a good time. Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap.
And that's the Weekly Wrap on radio and television. Follow Bruce at Bruce Wolf Shy on Twitter and Tim at timslagle.com. The Weekly Wrap with Bruce Wolf, a CP Pods production.